This class is called Deciding a Legal Case. What is more important, logic or evidence? We'll discuss this concept right now. The Gemara Bava Batra discusses, this is one of the most famous topics in the entire Gemara. It's a famous sugya, famous subject, and a lot to be said about it. Today we will analyze only one aspect of it, but it is an amazing amount of law that we can learn about this. Okay, let's look inside. Bava Batra Kaf Aleph Lamed Aleph Amud Bet. Idmar, Shtei Kitei Eidim, two sets of witnesses, Amakishod Zo et Zu, who are contradicting one another. For example, one says, Reuven lent money to Shimon, and one says, no, Reuven did not lend money to Shimon. So one says, Shimon has to pay Reuven, one says, no, Shimon does not have to pay Reuven. Disagreeing. Amar Ravuna. Ravuna zo Zuba b'fnei atzma u'meida v'zuba b'fnei atzma u'meida. These two sets of witnesses can, in the future, give testimony in another situation, in another case. Rav Chisda, however, says no. Amar behade sahade shakre lamali. I will not allow these people in any way to give testimony anymore. And the reason is that, going to Tzafot, one is not allowed to use it as witnesses, someone who's suspected of not being honest. The Torah says, do not bring as a witness anybody who is suspected of being a liar. In this case, since these two are contradicting one another, one of them is telling the truth, and one of them is not. But there's only one truth. It's not it couldn't be in between. So one is 100% truthful, and one is 100% liar. Since we do not know which is the liar and which is the truthful, we have to assume that each of them has 50% probability that they are truthful, but also 50% probability that they are liars. In that case, we have to say you're not allowed to use a witness who is probable, 50%, that he's a liar. So therefore, that's what Rav Chisda says, why do I need these shakranim, these liars? Ravuna disagrees. Ravuna says, no, in this case, they may be contradicting each other, maybe they saw things differently, but in the future, they are not disqualified as being witnesses in the future. Now, I want to explain an important principle, that there is a difference between refutation and what is called zomem. Refutation means that I give a testimony about a certain event. I saw someone lending money to someone. I saw it. Somebody will come and say, no, you did not see it. It didn't happen that way. Maybe it wasn't money. Maybe the person was returning something that had fallen in the street. Whatever it is, he's saying what you thought was a loan was not a loan. There was no such thing as a loan. That's a refutation. So one group will say, Reuven lent money to Shimon. One group says no, and therefore Shimon does not owe any money. That's the issue. That's a refutation. Zomem is a special status, hazama, where the second set of witnesses do not refute what the first set of witnesses says. They simply invalidate the right of the witnesses to say what they said. They are saying, the first group of witnesses say, the loan took place on Sunday at 12 o'clock in New York. The second group of witnesses says, at 12 o'clock on Sunday, you were together with us in California. You could not have seen this event in New York because you were in California with us. That group of people is called the second group of people. They're making the first one zomemim. They are liars. In general, the Torah says that when such a thing occurs, the second group of witnesses is believed. Why? Because they are actually, they're not saying the event did not take place. They're not saying that the loan did not occur. What they're doing is they're invalidating the validity of the witnesses themselves. For example, if they would come and say these people are transgressors of Shabbat, they don't keep Torah, these people are gamblers, there are certain things that disqualify a witness from being trusted in a court of law. If a person is disregarding of important laws of the Torah, that means that he's not trustworthy to say the truth. Maybe he lives by his own moral code. So therefore, that person will be or person is a thief. So if the group of people will come and say those witnesses are thieves, they would invalidate the testimony. And the first group of people would not be able to defend themselves. What could they say? We're not thieves. They cannot testify on their own behalf. So therefore, consequently, what you have here, the situation in which the second set of witnesses are believed. And that's also what the Torah says. The Torah says, some say that it is a sort of a novelty in the Torah itself, a chidush, that's a principle. When one witness says, we saw an event, and the other witness says, you couldn't have seen it because you were with us somewhere else, we believe the second group until the third group of people will come and contradict the second. But so long as there's only two sets, the second group is believed over the first one. That is the concept of zomem. So now let's take a look at what Tosafot asks. This is a very important question. Tosafot say, and I'll look at read it inside first. Zu ba b'vnei atzma u'meida. This is Tosafot on the page. Tema. We should ask a question. Ben leRav Kahuna, ben leRav Chizda, neheminu levatrai b'migo. We should really believe the second group of people with a migo. Migo means is an argument, is a logical argument that says that if a person is making a fact, stating a fact, and he could have said a better fact, we actually believe him, because if he wanted to lie, he would have made a better lie. Example for this is a woman says, I was married. A woman, nobody knows her. And she comes to a town and says, I was married, but I was divorced. We believed her. Because if she did not have to say she was married, she wanted to lie. She could have simply said, I'm single, I was never married, and nobody would question it. So the fact that she said something that she could have said something better, and amigo means because she could have said something better and she didn't, we believe she's not lying. A liar usually lies in the best possible way. It's not going to give a statement that is going to give them a possibility that people will not believe. That's called amigo. So Tosafot says, why didn't they do it? Because they could have said they are thieves. These are not good. And instead of saying, no, the event didn't happen the way you're saying, which is what happened in this case. Instead of saying that, they could have said, you're thieves. Nobody should believe you. And also they could have said, Azaman, they could have said, you were. So the Gemara says, and this is the Tosafot says, Nir Eli, this is Tosafot speaking, it seems to me that we cannot use migo where there are witnesses. Even if there were 100 witnesses, they could not overrule the first testimony. So since a witness, or testimony by witnesses cannot erase it, then a migo argument cannot be used. Let's understand this. Tosafot asked the question, you have two sets of witnesses. One says that Reuben lent the money, and one says Reuben did not lend the money. And we do not know whom to believe. In fact, the matter is going to be left in limbo. Tosafot says, why don't we use the migo? Since if they wanted to refute, if they were telling a lie, that they wanted to say that Reuven never lent the money to Shimon, they could have simply changed or invalidated the testimony of the first group by simply saying, we know these people are thieves. That would have been a better argument. And then they would have been disqualified. So then the second people would believe. Or they could have said, no, you were with us somewhere else. In which case, the loan would never have been proven. And Shimon would go scot-free. Instead, by saying that Reuven never lent the money to Shimon, they leave the matter in doubt. And now we are not clear whom to believe. That's what Rav Chisda said, they're both liars. So the argument of Tosafot is they could have done a better lie. Migo, they could have said, these people are thieves, these are bad people, don't believe them. And we would have believed them. Believe the second group. Since they didn't do it, we should believe them. So the Tosafot says, why didn't we do that? Because, and the reason is, we could not use a logical evidence, logic, where an evidence can change the matter. If a witness would not have changed the situation, amigo cannot be used. So let's understand this. That means that when there is witnesses can, in a place of logic cannot be used. Logic cannot be used when there are witnesses. So let's understand this concept. Evidence trumps logic. Evidence trumps anything else. And let's understand, this is an interesting question. The Chidushei HaRim and other rabbis questioned Tosafot. They say, let's understand this. In the case of a loan, one pair says that A lent B, and the other one says no. So in this case, the money remains where it is. Until evidence it says otherwise. So why, when we say that one group says Reuven lend the money to Shimon, and the other group says Reuven did not lend the money to Shimon. In the meantime, Shimon has the money. Now we don't know whether it was his money or Reuven's money. But we say, listen, let the money stay with Shimon. We're not going to take the money out of Shimon without evidence. That is considered to be a logical position. What's the logical position? Until we have better evidence, we're going to leave things the way they are, where they are supposed to be. So, according to Tosafot, what would happen if two sets of witnesses have contradictory testimony concerning a loan? And in that case, the status or the status quo of the money, we leave the money where it is, which is logic, overpowers both sets. Chazakah, which is called the status quo, overpowers the doubt. So in this case, even if we have 100 witnesses that they will say that Reuven, that Shimon never got the money, that exempt Shimon from paying, they could not decide the issue. So Tosafot says that when 8 witnesses cannot decide the issue, and there are witnesses, you cannot apply logic. How come here you apply the logic, you leave the money where it is? According to the argument of Tosafot, even Chazaka should not be able to decide the matter. So how would Tosafot answer the question of what happens when the evidence contradicts one another? We do not know what to do. Okay, I want to stop for a moment at this moment and ask you if you would like to participate in answering the question. To the question here. It's not that we're using logic to change the evidence. The evidence is, there's no evidence at all. Logic is not in lieu of evidence. The reason that we leave the money in the hands of Shimon is that in a case of a doubt, there's nothing we can do about it. You cannot take the money out of a man without evidence. So here the Torah, there are two ways in which a doubt is resolved. A doubt is resolved by two forms. One is by evidence. So when you're in a question, the evidence tells you the answer. That's evidence, testimony, a piece of paper, a document. But there is another thing, another way of resolving a doubt. When the Torah gives us what to say, what to do. So just as the Torah instructs us when in matters of certainty, the Torah also instructs us what to do in cases of doubt. So when you do not know who the money belongs to, there's nothing you can do. You have to leave the money where it is, because you do not have the authority to take it away from that person. So it's not a matter that we actually decided to give it to that person. We simply are prevented from acting and doing anything without the evidence. And that's why this is a different case. The question of the rabbis is, you're not using logic. You're actually simply not acting. The Torah says, when a matter of doubt, unless you have evidence to the contrary, you have to leave the money where it was before.
The point is even stronger. The point is when you're presented with conflicting evidence, it's using your own logic to decide, to throw out one set of evidence or to give one evidence credence because you think they could have come up with something better. That's even worse. That's even worse than using your logic to divide the money. It's using your logic to throw out what is otherwise evidence.
Chazaka, Eidim, are stronger than Chazaka. But in this case, the Chazaka overpowers the Eidim. Because the Eidim, even though the Eidim cannot resolve it, the Chazaka, Chizkat Mamon, is actually overpowering. So this resolves the question of Tosafot, that it's true that we do not use logic in the case of when there are evidence. We do not use logic. And the case that we're discussing, where there's a contradictory testimony and we cannot make the decision, we're just leaving the money where it is. And it's not the use of logic, it's simply the non-acting until we do have the evidence.